IVM.
Hi, we're Team Splainer. Welcome to an all-new episode of Press Decode, a weekly podcast where we take Splainer's mission to declutter the news one step further. Check out our newsletter for more stories and follow us at SplainerIn to keep up with all the fun things we plan for our Splainer fam. So sit back, relax, and don't let the news give you the blues. I'm Vagda, your host for the day, and today we have both Prafula and Sara with us. Like always, we have 3 segments for you. In our big story, we will talk about the 2 recent cases of men who were lynched by angry mobs in Punjab after being accused of sacrilege. In our Food for Thought segment, we're going to look at TikTok's newest plans of venturing into the viral food business. Finally, we'll be roasting and toasting our fave and least fave items. All right, let's begin with our big story. Last Saturday evening, a man forcibly entered the Sanctorum of the Golan temple in Amritsar. He hopped over the railing and picked up the holy sword kept in front of the Guru Granth Sahib. He was pulled aside instantly by the priests. It's all caught on CCTV footage. The man moved quietly and quickly entered and was thrown out by the priests, all within 20 seconds. He was then handed over to the Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, or the SGPC, which is the body responsible for managing all the Gurdwaras. And here he was beaten to death by an angry mob of devotees. Then on Sunday, the caretaker of a Gurdwara in Kapurthala live streamed a Facebook video in which he claimed that a man was found trying to desecrate the sacred Sikh flag, the Nishan Sahib. But reportedly, he was caught around 4 a.m., allegedly trying to steal from the Gurdwara and was being held. The police arrived a few hours later, but so did a crowd. And this time, the man was hacked to death in the presence of police. 3 cops, an SHO and 2 ASIs were injured in trying to save the accused from the mob. In Kapurthala, the police first claimed that 2 cases were being registered. One, sacrilege against the deceased, and another for murder and obstruction of justice. The second one was later called off, and only an FIR in the sacrilege case was registered. This despite the fact that Kapurthala police themselves found everything intact where the Guru Granth Sahib was kept. Now, there's a lot of furor in the media over sacrilege in Punjab. Is this a new affair? The Splainer edition spoke of some cases of sacrilege in 2015. Sara, could you give us a little background here?
Okay, I think needless to say, there is no justification for mob violence, and lynching ought to be something of the medieval times. It would be, however, inaccurate to not look at the history of sacrilege and more specifically the public sentiment around it in Punjab. Sikhs in Punjab have long been convinced that there is a systemic attempt to insult their religion and have been angry at successive governments for not acting to punish the perpetrators. Over the more recent years, Punjab has topped the country in the number of sacrilege cases. Data from the National Crime Records Bureau shows that between 2018 to 2020, Punjab's rate of crimes registered under sections 295 to 297 of the IPC, which is what deals with sacrilege, has been the highest. In 2018, for example, in Punjab, it was 0.7%, whereas in other states, it ranged between 0.1 to 0.4%. Of all the cases in our modern history, Aditya Menon in the Quint zeroes down on 3 specific cases of sacrilege to really understand why it still remains a wound for Sikhs. The first, the 1978 Nirankari incident. The Nirankaris are essentially a sect that stems from Sikhism that believes in a living guru as opposed to Sikhism that personifies the Guru Granth Sahib. The then leader of the sect, Guru Bachan Singh, has also compared himself to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. These beliefs were considered sacrilegious among the Sikhs, and there was also a belief that the Nirankaris enjoyed the support of the state. This disagreement and clash escalated when the Nirankaris decided to hold a convention in Amritsar on a day that coincided with Khalsa Day, which is April 13th. The Sikhs, in retaliation, non-violently protested and moved towards the convention when the police and Nirankaris attacked the protesters, leading to the death of 13 Sikhs. 62 Nirankaris were charged, but were all acquitted on grounds of self-defense. Number 2, the 1986 Nakodar sacrilege. The 1980s were a tumultuous time for the Sikhs, considering Operation Blue Star, the assassination of Indira Gandhi, and even that of Nirankari leader Gurbachan Singh. In the midst of all this, 5 copies of the Guru Granth Sahib were burnt in the town of Nakodar. When Sikhs protested and demanded action against those behind the act, they were fired upon by the police, leading to the death of 4 Sikh men. Number 3, the 2015 cases that we've also explained in our edition were a set of 3 separate acts of sacrilege which involved a Guru Granth Sahib being stolen from a Gurudwara in Faridkot. The second incident involved residents at a nearby village discovering handwritten posters with derogatory references to the Guru Granth Sahib. And in the same year, in October, 100 pages were torn out of a Guru Granth Sahib and scattered in front of the Bargari Gurudwara. These incidents too were followed by protests and demands for action. However, the protesters were once again fired upon by the police at Beba Kala and Kotkapura. 2 protesters died in the firing. All these cases over the years show that sacrilege cases are often followed by inaction in holding the accused accountable, despite multiple judicial commissions and special investigative teams and even a CBI probe. All of them have been inconclusive and no one has really been arrested, thus allowing sacrilege to remain a lightning rod issue among Sikhs in the state. And the latest incidents have done nothing to soothe the simmering anger. But it's also important to note the timing of when all of this is happening even right now. It's just in time for the assembly elections.
Right. And, a lot of these anxieties that the community harbors are understandable given that faith is very personal. Plus, the Guru Granth Sahib is considered a living guru. So any act of violence against the book even amounts to attacking a religious leader. It is hardly a surprise that the desecrations in Punjab are taken this seriously enough that entire governments have been toppled because they have failed to act. And, like Sara said, there have been investigations, but which have all ended in inconclusive findings. In addition, the state cabinet has also, under the Badal administration, passed a law that punished any perpetrators with life imprisonment. And it even was amended by successive governments to include all religious texts and not just the Guru Granth Sahib. But anything can be made an electoral talking point if you try hard enough, right? The state goes to polls in a matter of months, like Sara said. And by the looks of it, sacrilege might just become a deciding factor like it did in 2017. In the 2017 assembly elections, the 2015 cases emerged as major issues in the districts of Batinda, Faridkot, Muktsar, and Moga. The Badal administration was heavily criticized for inaction and lost soundly to Amrinder Singh's Congress. And the AAP and Congress centered their entire election campaigns around, sacrilege and bringing the perpetrators to justice and whatnot. While we're recording, politicians in the state have all but scrambled to condemn the acts of sacrilege. Navjot Singh Sidhu has even gone on to say that anyone guilty of sacrilege must be hanged. But not a single career politician has spoken out about the lynchings. In a conversation with the Quint, journalist R.S. Chabra noted that sacrilege from an electoral standpoint is as easy a way as any to get voters. And I found it very interesting that, people's anger is manipulated in this way without parties having to lift a finger, make any new promises, or in this case, even address, widespread almost violence. And if political leaders keep their silence, the results of this election may end up emboldening vigilante mobs in the not so distant future. And, thus the cycle of violence keeps continuing in the state.
Yeah. I mean, we have 2017 as an example, as a clear example. And that's exactly what's happening now. On that note, we come to the end of our first segment. We'll be right back after a short break. You're listening to Press Decode on the IVM Podcasts Network.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market, and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Dugirala. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Hello and welcome back to Press Decode on the IVM Podcasts Network. We're Team Splainer and make sure you follow us at SplainerIn on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with the Splainer fam. It's time for some food for thought. Today for food for thought, we're literally talking about food. Thanks to TikTok, which although still banned in India, still makes news here.
I'm still so upset that it's banned in India. It's been, nearly 2 years now?
Get over it, Sara. So anyway. TikTok is getting into the food delivery business. And no, it's not going to get you your usual biryani, pizza, nor send you Thursday marketing push notifications looking at you, Zomato.
I'm convinced Press Decode's first legal dispute is going to be Zomato. Just Vagda's unnecessarily slandering them all the time.
Unnecessary. Excuse me? Have you ever seen my Instagram stories?
Okay, in Zomato's defense, they're sometimes funny.
Most of them are like really thirsty. But okay, so I don't know whether TikTok is actually not going to send you marketing push notifications. It might just. So point is, TikTok is building a new business called TikTok Kitchen for viral recipes. Makes sense yet? No? Let me explain. The company will set up kitchens, sort of like cloud kitchens or ghost kitchens around the world to serve you recipes that are trending on the app. So the baked feta pasta or the corn ribs or the smash burger or the pasta chips that you're seeing on TikTok might come to you sooner than you think. Not you, Sara. But because that's exactly what TikTok's new menu has, which will be dynamic, as in it will change based on what's trending. They've decided to launch with about 300 kitchens, but plan to increase them to about 1,000 by the end of 2022. Now, when I first read about this in Mashable, which did the thinking for me when it asked the real question, that is, why? Why would TikTok do this? With over 1 billion app users, what will it achieve with 1,000 kitchens? The revenue wouldn't be much in comparison. So is this just a marketing gimmick? Oh, also, TikTok said it would use the proceeds to pay the creators of the recipes. But who is the creator really? One of the famous baked feta pasta recipe that first went viral on Instagram, then on TikTok, but it was like new versions kept developing. So who is the real creator? And this is what really got me thinking. In these times where content is actually being created for replication, who holds the real rights of royalty or creative output? Is this the new Creative Common?
Okay, I'm going to get to that in just a second. But I think it's a great idea in terms of, have you seen students and how lazy they are when it comes to food? You're telling them you see it on your phone and you're going to get it. It's going to be really popular. I don't know about the economics of it, but it's going to be damn popular. I can cook, but I didn't want to cook when I was back in college. But getting back to the content and how do you attribute content in the times of internet virality, it's a nightmare to say the least. I mean, lots of people today dream of the elusive internet money that you get with creating content that magically takes off. It's just, I will just make this video and that's it, boom. But in the time and age of replication and at the pace that we're at, more often than not, original creators get left behind. In January 2020, for example, just months before lockdowns kicked in, 14-year-old TikToker Jalaiha Haman choreographed the steps to Renegade, one of the biggest viral dance sensations on the platform. However, even though the dance went viral, it was not until a month later when the New York Times drew attention to the case that Haman got appropriately credited. But a month on the internet is a long, long time. I mean, think about it. A month ago, we were still on the Jeffrey Bezos trend.
It's been more than a month, Sara. It's been a couple of months.
One sec. What's the Jeffrey Bezos trend?
The whole entrepreneur, something, Jeffrey Bezos.
Oh, yes. Okay.
It's been over a month. Okay, clearly I'm not on the internet enough. But this is what happens when TikTok's banned in the country. I'm sorry, I can't keep up. But now it's all about that weird eye game set to somebody that I used to know. And FYI, I really tried it. It's hard. Like, just anyone listening, try it. It's not as easy as it looks. Anyway, Harman lost out on views and followers and in turn probable collaborations and sponsorships. And she isn't the first or last creator whose work on the internet has been pilfered for profit without as little as an acknowledgement. It got so bad that by June 2021, Black creators got so sick of not being fairly attributed that they went on strike and refused to post new dance content. And the point was made loud and clear. Unlike usual, when the floodgates of TikTok open with every new Megan Thee Stallion release, when her single Thought Shit released, Black creators purposely refrained from choreographing it. A TikTok creator who was part of the protest said, and I quote, "Normally, once Megan's song comes out, there's a dance that night, a dance within the hour. But I was noticing there was no dance. I was scrolling and noticing that everyone was flailing their arms under the sound." Point was made. But content attribution on TikTok especially is doubly difficult because unlike Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, TikTok posts aren't timestamped and thus are viewed in a user's feed in order of popularity and not chronologically. Identifying who posts the content first then is tricky. A solution to this is presented in the courts, and that is to look towards the principle of something called open source that basically requires content to be attributed. But because the space is all about recreating and going viral, it allows space for copying, adjusting, remixing, and innovation. However, this would also require the app to modify and add a timestamp, as well as a preference to introduce licenses for the creator. But yes, unless we're there, I don't quite see a TikTok kitchen as anything but a marketing gimmick because it's near impossible to correctly identify the source of content, let alone compensate them.
Valid.
Yeah, that's very interesting, actually. But, I was thinking about this and I'm actually fascinated by the flip side, which is the evolution of food trends. Because we went from, these videos of bizarre restaurants in like a Tokyo or a New York to recipes that require ingredients that you can find easily, like the Dalgona coffees and banana breads of last year. But now we're in a completely different stage.
Quick cue.
Yeah.
How many of y'all did it? Neither.
But like Dalgona coffee is like beat ki hui coffee anyway.
I don't like it.
Isn't it? I love it. And I make it every day. And I've like made it since I was like a teen. I just never called it Dalgona. That's all.
Prafulla, did you go fall for any of them?
Not really, because like I made banana bread fairly often before it became a thing also. So I didn't care for it as much.
I bake, but somehow banana bread I didn't and I fell hard for it. It was there in the house all the time. Anyway.
Good.
No, but like, even with banana bread, it wasn't being created as content. It was just, I'm doing this during lockdown. But now food is being made, as content. It'll go viral maybe. So if on the off chance that you do decide to order off of the Clock app, how does sourcing for ingredients work? Because remember back when the world went nuts over that baked feta pasta, there were reports of feta cheese literally flying off shelves. And the New York Times actually called this the TikTok feta effect. Other reports even, had said that supermarket chains like Kroger's saw 45% increase in sales of the cheese, and chains like Walmart actually began importing quote unquote authentic Greek feta cheese. Yeah, and it wasn't just the cheese, because Kewpie mayo from the viral salmon rice recipe, as well as cranberry juice of all things, just disappeared from stores very, very quickly. Grocery stores even had to cap the amount of ground beef and Diet Coke that customers could purchase at a time. I don't know how much Diet Coke a person can purchase at a time anyway, but
don't attack me like that.
But also like it's not about consumption, right? It's also about like keeping it in store because it might run out.
Yeah, so
I'm just thinking, the last 2 years are going to go down in history as such a wild time. We went from toilet paper going off the shelves to feta cheese.
No, but that's the point, right? The theme of this entire year has been supply chain disruptions. We don't have enough of anything. A professor of operations management, James R. Bradley, actually says when TikTok makes some new recipe go viral, the first most responsive way to fulfill that demand is safety stock. If the TikTok trends are significant enough, that safety stock is gone. And honestly, I'm very surprised that this isn't more of a discussion, because we talk about sustainability and the carbon footprint of our food. But what will that even look like once people start getting the ability to order just random nonsense off of their phones, right?
Sara hates you at this point.
You're so dismissive. I love it. You're not even giving it a chance. I'm a fan, Prafulla.
I mean, that's sort of my brand on this podcast anyway. No, but my point is that these shortages were the result of individuals buying food items to use at home, like small scale projects, right? So one has to wonder if TikTok kitchens do take off, what the supply of ingredients like, say, Kewpie mayo then, or maybe bananas, because people are making banana, or, now ghost kitchens are making banana bread. What will the supply of that look like?
Actually, I have something very interesting to say. So banana bread, pre the TikTok thing, was actually a way to use banana that was unusable. Like, it's super like
super
mushy,
ripe.
Horrible ripe.
Yeah.
Horrible ripe.
Yeah, it's just, I'm Malu, like, don't cancel me. I don't like bananas. Oops. But The thing is, I'm also guilty. I have bought bananas and let it become ripe to bake bread.
My
And
God,
so
Sara, you totally fell for it.
it's tasty, but that's the thing, right? You do ruin supply chains massively.
Yeah, like it's one thing for people to go out in droves at say like a Black Friday to buy TikTok's favorite air fryer or cast iron pans or coffee whisk. But it is quite another to, be in the middle of a very big supply chain disruption. There's this entire year people have just been like, oh, we don't have enough stock or inventory for products that we usually very popular, but we keep in stock. And like if toilet paper can just be something that you can't find anywhere, then this is but like I'm not the only one who's upset about the supply chain, apparently, because these shortages have become a touchy subject with big box retailers because they're refusing to talk about it. Stephanie Gans in eater.com says one would think that big box retailers would be keen to get some messaging out there. Either, yes, we're feeling the pressure of global supply chain issues, but we're taking steps to meet the needs of our customers, or no, we're fine, nothing to see here, please buy groceries. So I'm not the only one who's sort of disturbed by the whole supply chain disruption, because apparently shortages have become a very touchy subject with retailers. They're refusing to even talk to the media about it. Stephanie Gans in eater.com says one would think that big box retailers would be keen to get some messaging out there. Either, yes, we're feeling the pressure of global supply chain issues, but we're taking steps to meet the needs of our customers. Or, no, we're fine, nothing to see here, please buy groceries. Instead, there's been a radio silence that borders on denial. And it's interesting to me because if corporations are really feeling the pressure to this extent, that really does put things in perspective, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Corporations feeling the pressure of something? Of sustainability? Oh my God. Where are we? On that note, we come to the end of this segment. We'll be right back after a short break. You're listening to Press Decode on the IVM Podcasts Network.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the Wire Talks, it's all about the Beatles. Oliver Krasky, author and freelance editor who has closely worked with the famous band in the past, tells Siddharth why they're so loved even today. On All Things Policy, the folks at the Takshashila Institute discuss Russia's motives, why it's insecure with the G2, and the logic behind its growing alliance with China. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by Nikhil Agarwal. He is the co-founder and CEO of Grip Invest, and they discuss the working of lease and inventory finance in India. The Simplified Gang speaks to author Suman Srivastava about her new book, Don't Beg, Inspire. And on the Filter Coffee podcast, Surya Swapna, founder of Kathavani, talks to Karthik about mythological storytelling for children. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Go check out our YouTube channels. We go live on a whole bunch of different things. We have a number of different channels. You can find them on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch Kuber, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you for making this possible.
Welcome back to Press Decode on the IVM Podcasts Network. It's time for our final segment this week, Roast or Toast. And I expected that it's holiday season, so there might be, positivity around. But no, I'm the only person with a fave item this week. So
I was going to acknowledge it before you said it. Last week, I made very, very bold claims of the holiday season has made me very cheery. Turns out it didn't last very long. I have a least fave item this week. But basically, Truecaller's global spam report came out, and it shows that India jumped from the 9th position to the 4th on the list of countries with the highest spam calls, and with users receiving an average of 16.8 calls a month. The most stunning feat, I suppose, a single spammer made over 202 million spam calls in a year. Yes, I'm going to let you just...
How many is that per day?
I don't know maths, dude. Don't do me dirty.
Okay, fine.
No, I heard that number and my eyes just glazed over.
Yes.
Same. Seems like a very big number, guys. Incisively, I think that's what I can say. But I think I speak for all of us here when I say in the 21st century, spam calls are the bane of our existence. I mean, talk about first world problems, but Jesus. And to make matters worse, they're almost always perfectly timed to either when you're just about to sleep or are desperately waiting for another call. So my wish for 2022, on a more positive note, is a more comprehensive anti-spam system, because clearly all the D&D messages have done me no good and I'm still getting all the spam, clearly more than 16.8 calls a month.
But no, it's not just about calls. How do we get rid of those messages? Those AD, WST, ID type of messages. How do you get rid of those messages? They're just like clogging my system.
Ignorant or not, I just don't open SMSs except for OTPs.
I don't open it either. But the thing is, in my phone, it's so hard to like delete those also. You have to like select it. Why?
Good Android life. There's so much storage, you don't have to bother.
I'm moving to Android soon. Anyway.
So my offering for this week is conspiracy theorists. And the latest fixation is a hot new necklace. Literally a hot new necklace. And I'm reading directly from the Gizmodo article that I found this on because I love the way that they put it. 5G conspiracy theorists, obsessed with the idea that the next generation wireless technology will bombard them with deadly radiation, have settled on a brilliant plan, wearing necklaces that also bombard them with radiation. I mean, okay, so common sense has prevailed because the Dutch government has now banned these portable nuclear devices. But I have to say, I am amazed at the people who came up with the scam of using sciencey words like ionized or quantum to sell absolute garbage to people. Yeah, this necklace was called what? A negative ion necklace. Like, I don't know the science behind it, but I know that if you don't know enough science, and you're not as skeptical, you are going to go and buy it. So,
off the top of my head, I can think of 10 people in like my close circles who will buy it.
Really?
Which is terrifying.
Is this your Sangi fam group?
I am minority. We don't have a Sangi fam group.
Doesn't mean you can't have a Sangi fam group.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I have a fave item that is like sweet validation to my guilt-inducing habit of procrastination. We carried this in our list of good reads on Monday, an article by Arthur C. Brooks in The Atlantic titled "Procrastinate This, Not That." He writes that procrastination is thought of as a time management issue, but that some psychologists argue that it's more an issue of emotion management. I kind of agree that many people cope with negative feelings around a task or a responsibility simply by avoiding the task, at least temporarily. Sounds like me. Regardless, it's viewed negatively. Now, he uses new research to say that procrastinating over tasks that require innovation and creativity has actually shown to be good for performance. Sara?
I've been saying this for years.
That's what, it's validation. It's not like we didn't know this already. Yeah. And the fact that it's good news, but like, and that I can feel better about my procrastination, but I'm not entirely happy with it because it's still linked to your productivity, you know? So it's still a sham, like this whole capitalistic sham business. But in case you're still interested in bettering your performance, be sure not to spend your procrastination all on doom scrolling over a screen. Go for a walk. It said that that's better and a more useful procrastination. That spurs creativity. I boo. But it's also true.
That's such a
You made it sound very happy, and I was like, I'm not nearly as happy about this.
Okay, so that was our show this week. Thank you so much for joining us on Press Decode. We'll be on a break next week while we stuff our faces with food and wine, which is, yes, Jesus-approved alcohol for Sara and Prafula. See you in 2022. Until then, guys, don't let the news give you the blues.
Do you wonder why China does the things that it does? Or want to know how we could improve online privacy? Or perhaps you're thinking about how we can kickstart India's economy. If you'd like to search for the answers to such questions, check out All Things Policy, a daily public policy podcast that covers everything from employment figures to aircraft carriers. Tune in from Monday to Friday for new episodes and fresh takes.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood.
Get accustomed to womanhood.
Enjoy the experience of sisterhood.
Might get to wifehood
Or not. Choose motherhood.
or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
Earn a livelihood.
Change the neighborhood.
And get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Ritasha,
And me, Ayushi.
on a journey from station starting point.
To station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station, and hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.